Hey, fourth grade. Okay, so today you guys are working on the Exploring the World of Pop Music Read and Learn packet. So all you're going to need to do is you're going to read the packet first, then you're going to be watching a video of Christina Aguilera singing the song Reflection from the movie Mulan, but it's a live version, which is pretty cool. You're going to be answering a question while you listen to that song about what you hear, describing the instruments, the beats, the rhythms, anything that kind of stands out to you. You're going to write that down. And then the second page of your packet is what I learned. So these are things that you learned from reading the packet. It's things that you learned in class when we talked about girl groups or boy bands, when you created your own band. Anything that we learned about pop music you can include in your What I Learned page. So what we're going to do together is I'm going to go ahead and read through the Read and Learn with you. And what I would like you to do is to make sure that you have your packet in front of you and follow along while I read, or you can read out loud along with me. So we're going to read that together, and then you are going to answer the questions on your own. Sound good? So if you don't have your packet, make sure you pause this video, go get your packet, come back, press play, and we'll read together. All right, here we go. Exploring the world of pop music, read and learn. Overview. Pop music is a broad term to describe popular music. Pop music is known for blending styles together such as urban, dance, country, and rock. Vocals are typically the focus in pop music. History. Pop music can be traced all the way back to the 1920s when music was described as having a popular appeal. The first iconic pop band was the Beatles in the 1960s. The early 1980s popular music was transformed by MTV, which I'm sure you guys, well, I don't know if you guys know, but you might know MTV is a TV channel. Artists like Michael Jackson and Madonna can be considered as the first global pop icons in pop culture. Famous musicians and bands. Now, these are just a few. The list of famous musicians and bands who are pop musicians and bands could go on for so long, but these are just a few of the really influential pop bands and musicians. So we have the Beatles, Madonna, Michael Jackson, who is known as the King of Pop, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, who you'll be listening to today, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, we learned about them, Katy Perry, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Lady Gaga. Now, I want you to try to think for a moment before we continue on to the common elements of pop music. Try to think of any pop musicians or bands that you know. If you know any, go ahead and add a few to that list. Things, people and musicians and bands that you might be familiar with, you may have heard about, you might listen to. Are there any of those? All right. Common elements of pop music. Pop music often focuses on the digitized recording in the studio rather than the live performance. Technology is more frequently used. Pop music often features one singer rather than an entire band, except when we talked about girl groups and boy bands. But remember, when we talked about it, we said that girl groups were popular at certain times, and then they weren't really popular anymore. And then boy bands were popular at certain times, and then they weren't really popular anymore. So this is why it says this, is that it often features one singer rather than an entire band. Because right now, girl groups and boy bands are, you might find a few, but they're not super popular. Vocals are typically the focus in pop music. So now you're going to go ahead and go listen to the video of Christina Aguilera. So you just go to the Miss Frawley Music website, go to the home drop-down menu, Upper Campus 4th grade. Now I'm going to be sending a direct link in your parents' email as well, so that way you can just click and go and it'll bring you right to the video and right to our page. You're going to go listen to that video of Christina Aguilera singing the song Reflection from the movie Mulan. Now this is her doing it live at what was called the D23 Expo. It was an exposition, a big conference held by Disney, and she was singing the song live. So your question is, while listening, describe what you hear. Listen for specific instruments, beats, rhythms. If anything stands out at you, write about it. There are no wrong answers. Now, I know that there's a little bit of space here. If you need more space, get another piece of paper and add more thoughts. That's totally fine. But make sure that you definitely talk about instruments that you hear. Try to hear all the instruments, if there's any. You never know. Try, and singers included in this as a musician, so you can include singing. Maybe you want to talk about her voice. Maybe it's high-pitched, maybe it's low-pitched, maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I don't know. All sorts of things that you hear and you think about this song. Now, if you flip to the second page, it says Pop Music, What I Learned. My favorite thing about pop music is, and why. Make sure you tell me what it is, and you tell me why. And then you can try to draw your favorite thing about pop music. It can be related, so maybe you have a favorite pop music band, maybe you have a favorite pop music instrument. Whatever it is, draw it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just to, illustrate what you're saying. One fun fact I learned about pop music. Anything that you learned about pop music that you thought was kind of cool. And the last thing is, a question I have about pop music would be, and this is your place to ask a question that maybe I didn't answer, or this Read and Learn didn't answer, something that you might be thinking about pop music that you're curious about and you really want the answer to. That's where you write it down. So I hope that this has helped. I hope that you enjoy the video of Christina Aguilera singing, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. All right, bye 4th grade.